What we may see more is um, more movement along the Pareto frontier, because right now everyone's always gobbling up, you know, frontier intelligence, but we could see more value engineering, like on device or mid-range models that decide to call on frontier intelligence when they need it. In other words, we can be a whole lot more efficient about this, and cost pressures may make companies, move away from token maxing to, measuring more, uh, measuring business outcomes and the cost of achieving those outcomes. But I don't think the build out is going to slow down, at least anytime soon. I think we just might get smarter about it.
Yeah, I wonder if we're sort of in that phase, where we were, with the cloud about 15 years ago, where, you know, where developers, were going out to AWS or Azure or GCP and just grabbing themselves the biggest honking VMs they possibly could, and overload, and then at some point, somebody, the CFO, came along and said, do you really need this 128 gig machine? Can't you do it for something smaller, which will be a lot cheaper? And I've seen that personally in some of my own work, and we haven't announced this yet, but I'm doing some work with an AI application, and I've discovered that there's a lot of stuff you can do with these mini and nano models that you don't need the big full scale full LLMs for. So, maybe we're on, at some point on the cusp of this sort of right sizing of the model for the application kind of mode at this point.
Yeah, that's that part. I think that reset, I think, is has to happen. How imminent it is, is a open question. But just think about and that was Microsoft's whole message, which was, if you take a GPT 5.5 and your own reasoning traces, and you might, distill some more, then fine tune a 5 billion parameter model, for your domain, you're getting GPT 5.5 level intelligence. That was a clear message.
Yep. Yep. Cool. Any closing comments, Peter? Anything to close us out on?
No, I think from if I project it as a Microsoft enterprise customer, I would be looking at those big bets. So the big bets including, is Microsoft really serious about making the investment to be in the top four, or can it play the best of all of them as they get commoditized? And to your point on the agentic stuff, I do think, we're seeing pretty fast meme cycling here. So, maybe we'll just sort of, we're not going to talk as much about agentic. It's all about context now. But, that again, like what's really going to persist here as something that's going to be valuable to mainstream customers, not just cool demos.
George, any closing comments?
The one thing that may keep this, going forward, where we might have paused in the past, is like when we went from the ChatGPT release was like the browser moment, and then Claude Code on Opus 4.5 or 4.6, I forgot which, the one in the fall. That was like the introduction of the smartphone, and rather than that being separated by like 12 years, it was separated by 3 years. That the improvement is going so fast that secular trend is less likely to see like imminent consolidation. We might do value engineering, the right sizing, but the improvement is going so fast.